Okay, today we are going to start with 5-2, slope and direct variation. Direct variation uses an equation that looks very similar to an equation you've seen before. Y equals kx. Okay? Where k does not equal 0. It also will be statements that say y varies directly with x. This should look familiar to you. It's very similar to y equals mx plus b. But in this case, b will always be 0. The slope and the constant are really the same thing. K is known as the constant. Constant rate of change, unit rate. K is really the slope, which we know is the unit rate. Now we're going to talk about family of graphs. That includes graphs and equations of graphs that have at least one characteristic in common. A parent graph, simplest form, of the graph in a family. When we are looking at graphs, if we do keep in mind what I said, it's very similar to y equals mx plus b, but the b will always be 0. If I give you the equation y equals kx, and I am telling you x is greater than 0, that means it is a positive number, you will have a positive slope, heading uphill left to right. The same is true if k, or my slope, is negative. Your graph will have a downhill left to right type of thing. This work is almost so straightforward. Often you might find it confusing, but it's not. It says name the constant of variation for the equation. Then find the slope of the line that passes through the pair of points. Well, they gave me this equation. We talked about the constant is always the number in front of x. So the constant is 2. The y-intercept is 0. They give me the two ordered pairs on the graph of 0, 0 and 1, 2. Asking us to find the slope, I will do what we were doing yesterday, the change in y over the change in x. So y minus y over x minus x, negative 2 over negative 1, I get 2. Not surprised because it's given to me in the equation. They're just asking for us to validate. Okay, repeat the same process for the next one. Given this equation, the constant is the number in front of x where we find the slope. My constant is a negative 4. using the two ordered pairs given to me, 0, 0, the origin, because B will always be 0, and the ordered pair 1, negative 4, I will do the change in y over the change in x to find my slope. 0 minus negative 4, y minus y, over x minus x, 4 over negative 1, which is really the same as negative 4. Excellent. Now they just want us to graph, and I did not give you a grid, but that's okay, the equation x equals y. When I'm asked to do that, I usually just start with a very mini, straightforward t-chart. I like to pick numbers around the origins so I don't have to make a gigantic graph. If I put negative 1 in for x, y equals negative 1. If I put 0 in for x, y equals 0. If I put positive 1 in for x, y would equal 1. So I'm just going to ask that we sketch. Draw your coordinate y and x axis. Place these points on there, left 1, down 1, 0, 0 through the origin. 1, 1 is right 1, up 1. We are not playing connect the dots. Please extend the line through the points because there's infinitely many points we could put on here. I could have done a negative 1/2. I could have done 5/8. They would all fit in there. I just try to pick 3 nice points. Now we're going to do the same thing with the next one. But I am going to try to, again, pick some nice points that are close to the origin so I don't need a giant graph. I definitely could put 10, 100 here if I wanted, but that's too much. So I'm going to put negative 1, 0, and 1 again. I like to do 3 points to make sure I actually get a beautiful straight line. So I will do y equals negative 3/2 times negative 1. Therefore, when x is negative 1, y is positive 3/2. I'll put 0 in for x, so y equals negative 3/2 times 0. That equals 0. So when x is 0, y is 0. Finally, I will put 1 in for x. So I have y equals negative 3/2 times 1. Y equals negative 3/2. Again, you really could have picked any numbers in the world you wanted, but I'm asking you to graph, and I don't want to create a monster of a graph. I'm going to graph, so I would go negative 1, so left 1, and then I would go up about 1.5. I'm going to call it really good. I have the point 0, 0, and the point 1, negative 1.5. Again, whoops, I missed my points, but that's all right. Knowing that we're not playing connect the dots, I'm going to draw a line that extends through my points, even though I kind of missed my points.